Chair Pete, may I make an announcement or question?
Yes, please. Thank you.
¿Alguien va a ocupar interpretación en español? No. Gracias.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. First order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I hear a motion for approval of the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
I second that motion.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, next up, comments from the public. Superintendent Gardner.
Thank you, Chairman Morse. We have one public comment that was entered into the record today. It's from a parent writing in response to receiving an attendance letter discussing the challenges of their kids regarding the student absences. That's all we have.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I?
Michael's.
Yeah. Sorry.
Michael, go ahead.
I think if I read that, I think it was about trying to be more detailed. It was our kind of general letter that went out, and the parent was trying to say, let's be serious about the fact that there's some kids who were absent for certain reasons. And so, and it is just a little bit of a nuance. I just wanted to highlight that. I don't think they were complaining they got a letter. They did get a letter. Everyone got a letter. They were just saying there are reasons for some kids, and they acknowledge that an emphasis on going to school and getting to school is important. They didn't dispute that. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Well, I think the gist of it I got was concern, or my conclusion was, we're painting this with a pretty broad brush.
We are.
Yeah.
And my question would be, going forward, is there, and I know that we're really focused on the front end in that first week or first 10 days, but is there anything we could or would change as a result of the letter writer pointing that out to us?
Haven't looked at that. We can look at that. I would not want necessarily to go to a place where we're writing a separate text letter to each person with their circumstances. And obviously we would want the school to be working with them, not in a formal letter mode on those things. Would
it be appropriate to kind of describe when that letter goes out and why we do it and what we do? Is that something you want to do now?
I'll have to get that for you.
Okay, that might be interesting to bring back up at a later time, just to share with the public what we're
just the attendance process, when a first letter would go.
Correct, and why we do it, and what we're looking to accomplish.
Okay.
And so if I just want to make sure, so this is an actual letter that goes in the mail with a stamp or not, depending. This isn't an email. This isn't a text. We're actually using.
I cannot confirm that we have not.
Because the reference was a letter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
I think that could be format.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on. It's important that we get our kids to school, and we're trying to follow up on that to make sure they're at school. But obviously, the process always can use improvement. Board business. First up, student board member recognition. Zaya, thank you. I got this for you in Hadley. Hadley's not here. Hadley's playing basketball right now. So hopefully everyone think positive thoughts for her and her team. They're doing well.
Specifically, they're 10-1 and the #1 rated team in the OSAA 5A power ratings, and they're playing Silverton at home tonight, which is a big game. I almost called to see if I could get an excused absence, but it's very good. They're having a great season.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving your time and efforts to the better of the district. Very much appreciated. Superintendent's comments.
So I want to point to the wall behind you guys and note that this is Board Appreciation Month. We have Oak Elementary buzzing by to say thank you, and as well we have like
Slinking.
yeah,
It's the very hungry caterpillar.
a caterpillar, and that is from North Albany Elementary. Those were dropped by this week. So I don't have a whole lot to talk about other than and the goals, which we'll start talking about here in just a minute. But want to point out a couple things. Number one, we are beginning the process of bargaining with our classified employees, and I believe you guys we have a couple people that are on that, Brad and Michael, and I've just been really impressed with the tone of our interactions with the classified staff. I know we have a lot of work to do, and I want to cite Heather for her work with the president, who's in the audience, Helen, to I think set the tone and the groundwork for some good things to come from that. We are going to have, and this was Heather's thinking, one of the things that we saw as the year began, and actually even in last year, there was a there was a move maybe towards more formal business-oriented bargaining, and we saw that this spring. And we're working really hard to build a collaborative intent back into bargaining. And so Heather reached out to Randy Larry, who had been trained multiple times on collaborative bargaining. And Randy has agreed to come in and train the parties on collaborative bargaining. And so excited for that, and that this can be something that we build relationships through. And I'm very excited and optimistic about what we do there. So with that, I'll go to goal development. Just give you guys a very quick update about where we are in process with the 3 goals. The goal has to be done by June 30th, 2023. And what we're working on here is a continuation of the work to develop the strategic plan. The strategic plan really relates to our learning and our culture here. And I want to make sure that I recognize Javier, Lisa, Stafford Boyd, our secondary director, and Sue Luthra, our elementary director. And we are working towards building a complete set of goals, top to bottom, that will respond to those metrics. And so we will have at the next meeting the strategic plan with its metrics, and we'll be presenting that to you for an adoption. There is one thing that will not be complete by then. We are building and beginning the work to build surveys, and those surveys will have some measures that, so we can't just be good if we're here. We want to make sure that we survey our staff. We want to make sure that we survey our community, and we need to have that be measurable so that we can every year look to improve given outcomes. And that's a part of the strategic plan as well, but we're not there yet. And so there will be some open places, and we'll refer to that as we get there. So we'll go to the next slide. Second goal was, again, by June 30th, 2023, we're going to develop a sustainable budget that is accurate, clear to stakeholders and the public, and allows long-range forecasting and planning, and reflects district strategic plan priorities. So much work has been done here. I want to give Jane Nofziger, our new business manager, a great deal of credit for this as we work to figure out what we have. And you're going to look on this board and you're going to see that there are some things that are in process that we thought we were going to do pretty early in the year, but not everything comes as easy as you might think. So we have now got enrollment pretty well dialed in, all done today. And so that's the second quarter enrollment, and that was what we're going to use to determine our building student populations, and then we'll run our staffing ratios off of that. If you look at the November and January, you'll see that there's some staffing review and fund reviews. The ESSER funds, which we have used to do some building projects with, We are still in the process of hearing from the state there whether we can move things from fund to fund. And I believe we are still trying to catch up with our AP, our accounts payable processes at this point. So if you look down at January, you'll see that we are finalizing our status quo. Like, we are still in the process of figuring out where we stand fiscally. When we do that, we will then be able to look at roll-up costs for next year, compare them with what the state's giving us. We are not yet done with classified comparison salaries. Much harder than certified. There are many, many classifications, whereas all the teachers fit onto one scale. We have a lot of different pay ratios for our classified. And then we are confirming our enrollment. When we get to February 1st, we should see a co-chair's budget that will begin to, that we'll know where we stand after we see the co-chair's budget. And then we intend to meet with department directors, building leaders to work individually through the budget. So last year, you guys saw a budget that was very often a one big line item that was changed by 1%. This year, we hope to have each building and each department, the subcategories will be filled out and fleshed out. And so we'll have a complete budget. That becomes important not for you guys to adopt a budget. It becomes important for people to expend money out of, right? And so I just really appreciate the work that Jane is doing. We have Simon who comes in, and the staff down there is working really hard and seems to be willing to adopt new practices. So I think we're, all of this will have to kind of come to bear. It is not important to what they're doing right now that we do comparison salaries. Heather's department is working on that. It becomes critical with bargaining to know comparison salaries. And so those kind of things are all going to just kind of have to be lifted slowly together and then woven into one big tapestry. So that's where we're at on this. We should be able to show more as that becomes clear. We'll go to the third. So we're going to develop a set of core customer service values and standards, and we're going to be adopting an annual process for feedback and measurement. So we have worked with DLT. We have shared out with the district office staff and our cabinet, which is district program directors. And we have worked to build a set of values. We're going to go back one more time and begin to work on the final set of values. And then we'll be working on a survey here in January. Lisa has done the work to put together the survey at this point, and we're going to vet that out. We're looking to send the survey in late January, and those will be used by departments to set department goals. Those will occur later in the year, the goals that we will set, but then we will work to create something that is ongoing in the district. Do you guys have any questions about these?
No, doesn't look like it.
Okay. Thank you. That's it. I rest.
Okay, board reports.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Eric?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to bring to your attention, I have on your tables the Energy Conservation and Sustainability Program. On page 2, in a highlighted section, is policy regarding personal refrigerators for staff. And I'm sure while this was wrote with the best of intentions and to meet our goals of energy conservation, I feel during these times it would be important for staff to have the flexibility of maintaining a personal refrigerator in their workspace and not be charged $40 a year for that. So my request as an individual to the district would to be to eliminate letter I and refund any staff member that has paid $40 this school year to return their funds. And this is an AR, so it's in your guys' house, but I would appreciate any efforts. Mr. Chair, that's all I have for tonight.
Okay, Roger.
Well, I would move to do just that.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
To be clear, to waive addition letter I, 2I from the Energy Conservation and Sustainability Program adopted by the Greater Albany School District 8J on 12/17 of 09.
I think I heard the story about this at one point during many of our, I don't know if it was in bargaining or some other. I don't know if that's really been enforced, but yeah, I'm in favor of getting rid of it. I don't know the backstory behind it. I think it goes back years, and it's probably time to get it out of the policies or ARs actually.
So I would, before we vote, I would have a question now that we've made a motion and seconded. How hard is this going to be for staff to execute?
I have no knowledge that we are doing that. Are we collecting right now from people?
I haven't seen any collections.
I have.
I think this is just.
So it's going to be very easy for you to execute it.
I think so.
Mr. Chairman, I'd call the question.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Brad, do you have anything?
Real quick thing. I received a bunch of wonderful cards here from Mrs. Crafoni's first grade class in Tequina, and I want to thank them all for writing these. I haven't got a chance to read them all yet, but they're adorable, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Definitely thank you for everybody who's done the buzzing and the caterpillar. That's very much appreciated. I got a letter or an email earlier in the week. I think more than me. I think Andy, you got it too, and it was about grading, middle school grading, and that's something we're going to be looking at. Okay, right now the way we do, if you go back a while, we didn't even do middle school grades. They weren't A, B, C, D, E, and F, or not E, but F. Now we do it in a slightly different way. There's some ways that I think we can do it better to make kids have better success in high school and better success in life. And so we're going to be looking at that. Next up is student board member reports. Zai, would you like to go first?
It's going to be easier.
At South Albany right now, we don't have much going on, just winding down from a lot going on in December. We had our winter holiday spirit week and or winter forum and everything. We don't have much going on after winter break. Everyone just got back, slowing down, prepping for finals at the end of the month. Right now, though, we do have The Little Mermaid coming up near the end of the month. That's what theater's been working on most of this year. From Thursday, January 26th through January 29th, they're having a showing at 7 p.m. They would love to see as many people there as possible. It's at West Albany, the new theater that was just installed. Unified Basketball has a game on the 25th, and we're hoping to get, as the same thing, as many people as we can there. Fill the gym if we can, very loud, cheering for both teams. It's a fun thing we put on every year. We've had a lot of cool visitors over at South Albany recently. Just today, we had a veterinarian from Reed Veterinarian Hospital. Harry was the name, I think, Harry Reed. Very well known in the community, apparently. We had Mayor Alex Johnson come in just recently, as well as the fire department, one of the husbands of one of our staff members, Ms. Van Weysen, I think, actually. And just they've come in and talked to Mayor Johnson came in and talked to our senior government classes, while the fire department and veterinarian came in and talked to our AVID classes, getting to know career paths and how to get involved in the local community and post high school plans, stuff like that. Our librarians are currently continuing to plan culture activities. Right now, Ms. Reimer is trying to gather a committee of students to plan activities for Black History Month. And the admin just had the campus climate survey go out, and they're going to be looking over the results to it to see how we can better culture at South Albany and just better interactions between students and just the climate of South Albany in general. The West versus South Monday basketball game. That's self-explanatory. A lot of the more business clubs are same thing, winding down from winter break, getting ready for second semester. But we have a lot of the more recreation clubs are getting a lot more members. I just checked with Ms. Reimer today. The book club has over 40 members, with 20 members returning every Friday. They just talk about books they've read and have fun with that. And the Poetry and Prose Club also has a strong amount of members. Well, the gaming club, ran by a friend of mine, has a good 70 members, with 20 returning every lunch and 10 after school or so. We are hoping to get those kind of numbers with the more service-oriented clubs. And then we're just preparing for finals at the end of the month. We have Red Hawks Rising starting tomorrow again. That's a program put on by what used to be our Career Center advisor, but now she's moved on to counseling. Point is, though, helping students study, get caught up on assignments. They can turn in assignments there. It's an after-school activity from 3 to 5. Just making sure that they're passing their classes and ready for second semester. On the same line, we have OSU tutors coming in the library 3 days a week from Upward Bound, and they're available for any students on campus as well. And that's about it for happening at South right now.
Okay, as we discussed earlier, Heather's playing basketball right now, so hopefully it's going well. She sent me a report, and I'll read it because I don't want to get in trouble.
Well,
Hadley. Oh, I said Heather. I apologize.
I wish I could play that. She got subbed out.
She got subbed out.
Past days.
Okay, school board meeting notes for January 9th, 2023. Last board meeting was prior to winter break. Not a great deal has occurred except a lot of catching up on sleep. Just prior to break, West had a few activities occur. December 13th was the Winter at West concert. There was a combined choir and band concert featuring holiday music. The new auditorium has been a great space for the community. December 16th was the Winter Talent Assembly. A huge shout out to Mr. Welsh and Event Tech. They stayed up to 5 in the morning setting up the stage for the talent show and then spent hours taking it down for basketball games that night. There was lots of singers and amazing talent. There was even first ever pottery off, where a student faced off against a teacher competing to see who could make the best pot. Interesting. For clubs, youth and government continue to finalize bills in preparation for pre-legislation and the final state conference in February. Environmental Club has been in the process of establishing training to learn how to identify an invasive bug called the emerald ash borer in our area. The goal will then be to catch it and report the finding. Model UN continues to prepare for their state conference in February. They have an event this Wednesday night called WinterCon. At WinterCon, they will conduct a mock conference of what the actual state conference will be. They are representing Norway regarding international issues. The Philosophy Club continues to discuss ethical dilemmas and is working through the 2022-23 Ethics Bowl docket. Activities coming up in the next couple of weeks include a band concert tomorrow night, Tuesday the 10th, a choir concert next week, Wednesday the 18th. Boys and girls basketball continues, as I mentioned, West and South are playing next Monday. Wrestling has had some tournaments and continues to grow. It's really neat. I don't know how big South's wrestling team is, and I hope it's awesome. West's wrestling team has 30 girls on their team.
Oh.
You know, it's a 90-member team. They got their own head coach. I mean, it's really going places. It's pretty neat. It's a lot of fun. High steppers compete over the weekend. Swim had multiple practices over the break, preparing for meets this January. Staff and students are beginning to prepare for the semester finals that occur at the end of the month. Winter formal at West is on the 21st. It is entertaining to hear over the announcement the reminder to make sure you're going to ask someone. Give them a couple weeks to think about it. I guess that's the old push off the cliff, I guess. And finally, Assistant Principal Jessica Smith was named the Oregon Assistant Principal of the Year. I regularly run into Mrs. Smith at the tardy stations in West. Obviously, I'm Hadley when she says that. There's no one else I want to write my tardy pass than Mrs. Smith.
All right.
Well, there we go.
Concerning.
Yeah, that's a little concerning from the parent. But so very nice report from Hadley. Okay, community, school presentations is next.
At this time, Mr. Chairman, we will bring to the front the principal at Liberty Elementary School, Jody Dodd. Oh, I'm sorry. We moved too fast. We have to go with a very esteemed visitor, the superintendent of the Lynn Benton Lincoln ESD, former assistant superintendent in GAPS, Ms. Tanya Everest. Ms. Tanya Everest.
That's H1.
Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to see you all.
Nice to see you.
Oh, it feels like old home week, you know? And so, yeah, I'm here this evening just to say that we appreciate serving your school district. That's first and foremost. And I want to introduce my board member, Jean Wooten. And she is one of our 2 board members that serve the region of Albany School District. You're big enough that you need 2 of us. So, Jean, is there 3? Oh, that's right. We just redrew our boundaries with the census completion and then the redistricting of our legislators. We then did our own boundaries, and you actually grew enough that our Lebanon board member now needs to take a piece of Albany as well, so that we balance the population, that all of our board members represents a similar amount of community to one another. And so Amy Vetter, thank you for remembering that, is our 3rd board member that serves your region. So, and I put at your places this evening an overview document of our ESD services to you. I meet formally with your leadership team twice a year with my leadership team to go over how are we doing at serving you, what services do you anticipate needing, what new services might you need, and then every other year we also do a customer service satisfaction survey, which will go out this spring to your staff. So we'll be collecting some feedback. And next month, you will be seeing our local service plan every 2 years with superintendents. We work together with them to determine what goes into the local service plan, what will be a tier 1 service to you, and what will be a purchased tier 2 service. Tier 1 services, all school districts get no matter their size. And then tier 2 services, they purchase based on their need. And we just completed that process. My board will approve it next week. And then we'll get off to you to see it, and hopefully you'll approve it as well. And I am here to answer any questions that you might have about this overview document or Lynn Benton Lincoln Education Service District.
It doesn't look like we have any.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much for all you do.
Absolutely. And we appreciate serving you. It's really nice. Thank you.
I would just like to thank you, and I would like to thank Jean for your years of service with ESD. Say hi to Cliff when you get home.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, Andy, you're up.
Well, I just want to also acknowledge I've really enjoyed working with Tanya. It's the first time we've had, I've been in a district where the ESD is in the same town, and just the consistent, they also are hosting many meetings here right now as they remodel over there. So we sometimes actually see their people in here. And so it's been really great. I've really enjoyed the relationship that we have. At this time, and without further delay, I'd like to introduce Liberty Principal Jody Dodd.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me tonight. In preparation for this presentation, I started to get so excited about all the good things at Liberty. So I think every day we do school, and sometimes it's easy to focus on the negative, but this was really fun for me because I had some time to just look at how cool Liberty is. So I'm excited to share that with you. So this is my second year as principal at Liberty. This is my first full year. So this year I was able to start the year with the staff, which was exciting. We came up with, when I asked the staff, okay, when you think of Liberty as a dream school, what would it be? And the words that are in that wordle up there are the words that they came up with. And I think it actually encapsulates what Liberty is as a building already. And so that's exciting to share too. So together we learn, we care, we learn, and we grow. And then you can see our logo for this year has Be Great, Miss Less Than 8, which was our goal at the beginning of the year for our students to miss less than 8 days of school. With the illnesses, it's been easy to surpass that, but we're still going to keep trying to watch that overall number. So Liberty has 320 students, and we share a campus with West Albany High School and Memorial Middle School. Our building was built in 1949, and much of it has been updated, and there are still some reminders everywhere around the building that it was built in 1949. We have 24% of our students who are on free and reduced lunch, and 76% of those are white, 12% are Latino, and 9% are multiracial. We have an awesome staff at Liberty, 20 certified teachers, of which 15 have more than 3 years of experience. So I'm coaching 5 probationary teachers this year, and the rest of our teachers have been there for a long time. And one of them has been there for 31 years. Wow. So it's an exciting group of people who are passionate about teaching and who want to be friends with each other. And so that is really a felt part of our culture. So our classified staff, we have 16 classified staff, and in my opinion, it really feels like there are huge bridges between both the classified staff and the certified staff in problem solving in our building, and so that's really a healthy relationship. So in thinking about our goals this year at Liberty, we really are focusing most of our goals on the 3 strategic plan goals of equitable outcomes, social and emotional mental health supports, and rigorous and engaging academics. And so the way that we do that is with equitable outcomes, we're focusing on being really data-driven, and we're having data meetings on reading, behavior, and math. And we're critically analyzing our minority groups within when we're evaluating that data. We also have a new counselor this year, which is super exciting. And we are going to do great things with the counselor in the building. It's helped us tremendously this year. She's excited about working on social emotional learning. And, at Liberty, we're very clear about behaviors and expected behaviors right up front. So at the beginning of the year, students have what we call rules rodeo. And there are slides with videos about how students are expected to behave throughout the building. And so we try to really front load that information for students on expectations so they can be successful. And we also have a great reward system in PBIS. Students get superstars, and we also give out feather tokens for classes that are really doing an awesome job in the hall and in our common areas. I think our third area of focus this year has been on rigorous and engaging academics. So we've taken a lot of time this year to work on our Wednesday early releases on PLCs that focus on our Into Reading new curriculum. And so that's been really exciting. And to make it engaging, we're using QTIL strategies, and we also have a bunch of clubs and art programs happening throughout the building. So for our ILT goals this year, we're focusing on attendance, which is what I mentioned earlier. We're focusing on reading through our PLC and QTIL strategies. And then also, which I'm really excited about, our behavior program this year includes what we call school moves. We found in our data that students were having a hard time transitioning from recess to learning because it's really hard to be really active and then to come in and write an essay. So we did some research and also talked with Summer Heskett, one of our special education people here on staff. And Summer trained us in school moves, and it's a research-based scientific way of thinking about how the brain learns, and that you can't just turn off the activity and go to the learning without kind of teaching your brain to get there. So in many of our classes in the building, students will be jumping and clapping and doing all sorts of activities before they settle down into work, and we think it's working. So we're excited about that. Some of our challenges this year, I know that it's like I'm saying the same thing that other schools have said, but it really is the substitute shortage. When we have no substitutes, we have to pull from our behavior staff or our counselor. And so then those systems start to falter when we're using those staff for substituting. I have substituted 4 days this year in PE and 4th grade. And it's been a great experience for me and good for me to be in the building, but it also means that I can't be a principal when I'm subbing. So we feel it quite a lot. A few years ago, we got a new parking lot at Liberty, if you recall. And that is so great. And we love the traffic flow and it's fantastic. Except when we put that in, we removed all of the trees and the grass, which actually made the building more cool. So now we have the sun reflecting on the parking lot and right into those classrooms, and we do not have air conditioning. And the building was built in 1949. So we have, let's just say it's hot. It's really, really hot in those classrooms, and it's 80 to 85 degrees for a lot of September, October, May, and June. When the sun is shining, it's hot. And so people are cranky. And when students are cranky, then behaviors start to come up. And so I really, truly feel as the building leader that one way to help our behavior issues is to get people comfortable because they're not comfortable right now. Some other things that we need at Liberty one thing is space. We added a 3rd, 4th grade classroom this year. And so in doing that classroom, which was the faculty break space, is now a classroom. So there's no place for people to eat lunch in our building. And we would like to have that space. The other thing is we're trying to be creative with our space with reading interventions and math interventions, but we're using every closet and hallway space that we have right now. So eventually, if we keep growing at the rate that we have been, we're going to need some more space. So the last challenge at Liberty is really students in our school are going to PE 3 times in 2 weeks. So having a full-time PE teacher would really allow for our students to have more time in PE during the week. But looking forward to next year, we have some really exciting things on the docket. We have goals for every member of our staff to become QTEL trained. Albany Public Schools Foundation has given us a huge donation for a marimba club. So we're really excited about having marimbas coming soon to the next school event. You just invite us. We'll come and marimba it up for you. We are excited that we're going to start providing some more arts and science programs and family nights to bring families into our building. And of course, we're starting, now that we have a counselor, we're starting to dream about what we can do with that. And so being able to look toward like problem solving skills groups and anger management groups, we just think that's going to be really great for our students. And I am personally looking forward to some civic partnerships with the city of Albany and providing some leadership opportunities for our 5th graders. Okay, so here's all the fun stuff. So we have, let's see here, Liberty Singers. We have 55 students in our Liberty Singers, and it's growing. We've already had to order more t-shirts to get everybody suited up for our spring concert. We're enjoying having our concerts at the West Albany High School auditorium. And we really have enjoyed our relationship with West Albany High School, who sends students over to be cadet teachers in our school, and that's been really great. We have a lapathon every year put on by the PTC that's really exciting, and all students are running and having fun. We have 50 students in Battle of the Books this year, which is a new club for our building. Every year we have a wax museum where 5th graders do research on a historical figure, and then they get to, it's like a science fair, but you get to walk up and actually meet that person in history. So it's really fun. You can see those pictures there. Liberty hosts the SLC, which is a social learning center for 3rd through 5th graders who have autism or social learning needs. And we have 12 students at our school currently who are in the SLC. And we work really hard to mainstream those students as much as possible. So at Liberty, it is my hope that when you go into classrooms, you might not know who's in SLC because they're in classrooms with the rest of their peers. So about 50% of our students currently are almost fully in the general ed classroom with support. We've added this year some Friday assemblies every other Friday in the afternoon. Feel free to stop by at 2:30. We love to put our leadership team to work doing skits about kindness or honesty or whatever our character trait is for that month. So they work for the month to get ready to put on those assemblies. We also have a flag team that puts the flag up every day. That's very important. We had Mr. Reese from the YMCA came over and gave us a training for that, which was fantastic. Thank you for that. And then finally, the Albany Public Schools Foundation has helped us to be able to fund a resource art cafe. So our students who are in special ed once a month get to attend the resource art cafe where you can see in those pictures there, they get to work hard on some art projects that we hang throughout the building. So you can see here that Liberty is a really fun place. We work really hard to create events and just a culture that is welcoming for every student. And this is what students have to say. Kyler says, "My favorite thing about Liberty is that the friends here always have your back." Miles says, "The teachers are so nice here." Landon says, "I like work, lunch, library, music, and PE. Pretty much the whole day." Lola says, everyone is welcome here." Mason says, "There's a lot of nice kids, and it's easy to make friends at this school." Rowan says, "Liberty is safe, and people treat each other the way they would like to be treated here. And I know these things because I'm going to be the first ever woman president." And finally, Maya says, "People are kind here and they really care about you. I'm talking about kids and adults. You don't just get that everywhere." And we don't take that for granted. It's a pretty special place. So we invite you to come over and see us and see what we have going on, and open for questions now. Go ahead.
Not that we're going to make any surprise more motions tonight, but if there was one more thing that the board could do for you, regardless of money or time, what could we do to help your school?
In addition to the challenges, or which is the most important challenge?
Which is the heaviest thing that the board could throw money at, or personnel, or building?
I think building space.
Building space.
I really feel like that's the most, that's the thing that we're feeling the most, but air conditioning is, I mean, right up there. I always think first about kids, right? So the space really, it really affects what we do and how we're setting up our groups and how we're meeting the needs for learning for students. But boy, air conditioning, I mean, if you stop by and try and go in one of those classrooms, we need air conditioning.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
I like, once again, I like these principals come to us and talk about how their program fits into the strategic plan. And I just have a question under MTS, multi-tiered systems of support for reading / behavior. What does MTSS for behavior look like? I think I kind of understand it for reading and math.
Right. So we actually this year decided to up the amount of times that we were meeting about behavior. And we took some advice from Lafayette Elementary School, and our dean went over to kind of see how they do it. And so we're now meeting weekly, and we're data driven. So what we do is we sit down, we say, okay, what are the referrals that staff has written for this week, and who's popping up at the top of that? And then let's start to problem solve on that top 10% or 15% of students who really are in the red zone, which is what we call it. And then who are our students who are kind of in the yellow zone that maybe might need a little extra boost to go the other way and not get more referrals, right? So we try to be really strategic about looking at the whole group, but then in the group with the highest referrals, to be really systematic about how we talk about, like, what is the motivation of this student and how can we really help them? Is it lagging skills? Are they falling behind in their school? Do they need a friend? Do we need to pair them up with somebody? What is the lagging social skill that they need to be able to get where they need to be so they can be successful?
Thank you. That's great.
Sure, I'll go. What kind of learning loss do you think we've had over the last couple of years, and how has your school gone about trying to make up for that? First off, do you reckon what value does it have? I mean, where is it? A lot? Is it a little bit? Where are you?
So I do think that we have had a tremendous amount of learning loss. However, I think the district is making some good moves towards supporting things like interventions and helping us get what we need to be able to boost up the students who are falling below or have fallen below. So I think that support is there. I think the biggest learning gap that I see is the social one. So we had students in 3rd grade last year who had never written a Valentine to their peers or couldn't remember what a Valentine was, right? And that, to me, it just shows you that, like, our 3rd and 4th graders right now have really missed out on a bulk of that social and emotional growth. So we had to reteach them how to play Foursquare and how to be kind to people and how to get out and take your outs and be in a good mood about it, right? So I think that's been the biggest part of our learning, and why we as a school have invested so heavily in having our older students teach the whole school the character traits, like what it is to be kind, what it really means to be kind, because it's a lagging skill for a big part of our elementary school. However, I feel like the new curriculum that we have for reading is awesome. Teachers love it, and kids are making gains, and those numbers are climbing right up. So I think we're going to make it up pretty quickly.
Great.
I really do.
So how do you recognize which kids need that help?
Well, when we have our data meetings, we really look at, so for reading, we use Acadiance data, and that has ongoing progress monitoring. So at the beginning of the year, we have one number and we make a goal for certain students, and then we just test them every single week and provide support and support and support. And then every 6 weeks we get together and we say, is what we're doing working? or is it not working? And if the data is not getting better, then we make a change or we add a support or we fix it somehow. So we're always problem solving and looking critically at our own systems to see if we can be creative or problem solve in some way. So that's for reading.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's excellent. Do you have, I know some other schools have this, but do you have a lot of need or requirement for like clearing rooms or anything like that?
You know, we've had a couple room clears this year, and I feel like our teachers are well aware of the social needs of all the students in the class, and they're kind of ready to go on a nature walk or have a secondary assignment that can fill in that time and then move their schedule around to make it work. So I feel like we're not losing a lot of education in those moments. But I do think and want to address that there is learning that takes place during a room clear. And the learning that takes place is compassion and understanding that, some people need some help with some mental issues sometimes. And sometimes it's not easy for everybody. And so to me, I see what happens in the rest of the class and the compassion and love that those students end up having for that student. And I'm not saying it's good to have room clears,
Sure.
but I am saying there might not be that math lesson that's perfect for that day, but there's other growth that's happening.
No, I think how you said that was an excellent way to say it. For me, I think that's excellent. It's more to the issue if it's the same child over and over and over again and there's no improvement. But I agree with what you're saying 100%. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's really neat that you are testing them and changing. If it's not working, you're changing what needs to be done. I think that's what most kids need. So that's fantastic.
I think too at Liberty, I just want to say thank you to the behavior team. I feel like we really work well together and are unified and problem solve really well. And so when that room clear happens, we get together immediately and say, okay, what do we do differently next time? Or how do we need to support that student better so this doesn't happen again? And so that's a part of that MTSS for behavior.
Sure. Great. And any other questions?
I guess just one. First, thank you for all that you do. It's obvious by your enthusiasm. You do a great job in the school, and we appreciate that. But back to the air conditioning. Do you have, because we got all those letters, I remember.
It's so hot.
They're priceless.
It's so hot.
Right. And some of them, one of them thought he was going to go crazy. It got so hot.
Wow. I didn't see those letters, so.
Do you have times that it's hotter in the building than outside the building?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And those classrooms on that side of the building have doors that have to remain shut because of security. So the teachers would love to open the doors and put a fan right there, but it's on the street, right? So it's not safe to have the door wide open. So we really do, it's really difficult to get airflow in those classrooms.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you very much. That was great.
Opportunity.
Yeah. I'd also like to thank the board. Last couple of meetings, I think your questions have really been focused around student learning and recovery, and I appreciate that as well. Thank Jody for her answers and Sue, Lisa for the system, and really appreciate that. At this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Mark Hannon, who will now be presenting around Albany options.
All right, old dog here. So technology, trust me, this is a stretch for me. But thank you for allowing me to come tonight and brag about my school. As many of you know, Albany Options is the alternative school for GAPS, and we serve both West and South Albany, and it's such an awesome place, and many of you have been there, and I invite you to come and visit us anytime. We really like to have visitors. It's a very welcoming place, and we take great pride in having visitors come in and seeing what great things our teachers and staff are doing. I'd like to talk a little bit about who our staff are, and many of you know we lost 2 longtime staff members from our staff last year. My office manager Gwen Barker and my counselor Anna Harriman to West Albany High School, and Susie and I are still friends. It's all good, but those were big shoes to fill. There was a lot of institutional knowledge that walked out the door with those 2 folks, and I was excited to look for their replacements, but I was scared about it too because they were my support system, and I want to highlight Lori Holleran and Kayla Crossan. Kayla's our counselor and Lori's my office manager. They've stepped right in, and Lori was on our staff, and Kayla was new to us, coming from Memorial, and they've just done an amazing job, and they make my job so much easier, and I wanted to recognize them tonight because they're just such a great pair to work with, and they make up our 3 the 3 members of the team that help run that school. You'll see we have 14 licensed staff, 11 teachers, and I have alternative ed in parentheses there because there was something that I've been talking about doing for a couple of years now. I'm a member of a consortium that meets once a month, and it's alternative administrators along with a representative from the Department of Ed. And one of the things that came up in one of our meetings last year is being able to identify alternative education teachers as alternative ed through our district office. And what that means is it allows those teachers to teach outside their area of licensure, their area of endorsement, with no parameters. They can teach anything, basically. Now, within reason, we wouldn't have a language arts teacher that's never taught math teach one of our higher level math classes, but they might teach a pre-algebra class, or they might teach, we have a health teacher that teaches PE, and it allows us to have some flexibility with those teachers, and it makes Heather's job a little bit easier, not having to make sure that we're following the normal licensure requirements. As I mentioned before, Kayla, our one counselor, and you'll note Career TOSA. Last year, when I presented to you folks, one of the things that was on my goal list for this year was to create and fund and hire that position. And it's a half-time position. I hope to increase that to full-time next year. And Jen Winchell started in that position right after Christmas, and she's just been amazing. Fit right in with our staff and the community, and the intention of that position is to create a plan for every one of our students beyond AOS. And when I came to AOS, one of the things that concerned me as I spoke with students, I exit interview every one of our students, and I had a high percentage of students, when I would ask them, what's your plan? Their response was, I don't know. And that's an epic fail on our part. And so this position was created, and it's nobody's fault, but this position was created to specifically address that issue. And so she is developing a process where she's going to meet with every student multiple times, and she's going to develop a plan whether that's community college, whether that's going straight into the workforce, trade school, military, whatever the student's interest is, she's going to develop a plan and she's going to help them execute that plan. And she's young and she's energetic and she's just been such a great fit. And I'm really excited to see how that turns out. And I want to be able to have those conversations with students where they can articulate to me what their plan is. And I'll let you know next year how that goes. And then, of course, one administrator, but he doesn't know what he's doing. So classified staff. Of course, my office manager, one GED support. I have an attendance secretary, a food service provider, 2 special ed support, and our custodian. And I want to recognize, because I know Mr. Gardner mentioned that you folks are beginning the process of working with those folks to work on a contract. I can't speak enough for those people in my building. We couldn't do what we do without them. And I really, really endorse whatever it is you folks can work out with them. They're so valuable, and I really appreciate everything that they do. Quick facts, our programs, as many of you know, our main program is Innovative High School, and we have 81 students in that. One thing that I'm really proud of in our high school program is all of our teachers are QTEL trained, and we implement those principles for all of our students. And it's something that we take great pride in. Most of my staff traveled to San Francisco this summer along with myself, and we received training on their, well, it wasn't their campus, but in San Francisco. And we will continue our professional development with those folks, and it's something that I have great pride in with our school. Of course, we have our GED program, which last year we had more GED students finish and complete than we did high school graduates. And that's the first time that's ever happened in the history of AOS. I'll talk a little bit in a few minutes about what that looks like in terms of graduation rate versus completer rate. Options Academy, that is something that we created last year. We're in year 2, and we created that as a semester-long program to work with students to recover credits and then send them back to their respective high schools. We have half of those students from South and half of them from West. And we are in the process of collecting data of the students that we worked with last year and how they've done upon their return, and more to come on that program. It's going to take a couple of years to make a informed decision on whether or not we're accomplishing what we set out to accomplish. And then lastly, our Choices program primarily serves the students that are expelled from the other 2 comprehensive high schools, but it's also, we use it as a placeholder, if you will. If we get a student in the middle of a grading period and we need them to connect with us, they can work on their Odysseyware, which is an online program that we utilize, and we hold them there until the beginning of the next grading period, and then we transition them either into our GED program or our Innovative High School. These are things that we have created that we're very proud of at AOS. Our CTE program, we're in year 2. Many of you have visited and seen the great things that Gabe Diaz is doing in that program. He makes me look way smarter than I deserve, and I'm so proud of him and the kids and what that program is becoming. And there's more great things on the horizon. I've already talked about the Career TOSA, something that we're very proud of. And this next thing has been a 2-year process. I hired a teacher last year that has taught writing 121 at the college level at Oregon State, and she's articulated with LB, and we started talking about why not us, and we had that conversation last winter, and she is offering writing 121 as we speak, and we have 15 kids in that program, and I'm so amazingly proud of these students for taking on that challenge and biting off something that they didn't think they could bite off, but we convinced them, and I believe that they're perfect for that program, and I can't wait to see their faces when they get to see the college credit that they're going to earn. And then lastly, our mental health service. We're in the second year of this also. We partnered with North Albany Wellness Center to offer full-time. She's actually 4 days a week at this point, but if we have the need, we can expand to 5 days. And she's on site, and we offer mental health service to any AOS student. And it's something that I think is an amazing goal that came to fruition, and we have many students that are taking advantage of it. And I'll touch a little bit on the frustrations or the challenges here in a minute that relates to that. Next slide. Student attendance. You've heard that here tonight already. It's something that we're struggling with. I think COVID didn't do us any favors with that. Some of it just based on physical health, and some of it on mental health, some transportation issues. It's just something that we're consistently battling. And I hear from my teachers, you get them here and we'll take care of them. Getting them here sometimes is the real struggle. I wanted to touch quickly on our graduation rate versus our completer rate. I talked about this last year. Our graduation rate is, if you look at it, our 2-year average is 49%, which in and of itself is not great. If you look at our completer rate, which includes our GED completers, our 2-year average is 90%. And one of my frustrations with the department, and I share that in our monthly meeting, is the Department of Ed, not the district office department. One of my frustrations is we're being held accountable to a graduation rate, which comprehensive high schools are held to. Well, for every GED that we issue, that counts against our graduation rate. So our own program is damaging our graduation rate. So we're trying to put some pressure, if you will, and get that changed where alternative schools are held accountable for students completing as opposed to necessarily graduating. And then lastly, COVID after effects. The loss of learning is a real thing, and it's something that I wasn't prepared. As somebody that's been doing this for 33 years, I was not prepared for the transcripts that I saw. And I think you asked about what the data looked like. Well, I saw blank transcripts, blank, not even grades that were poor, just completely blank, did not attend school. And it's something that we're addressing at AOS every day. And really the biggest thing I think we have felt as a staff and as a community is the mental health fallout of COVID. And we're addressing that with our mental health worker on site, Taryn. She's amazing. And she does great work, but it's going to take some time to recover from that. These things I've touched on. we emphasize basic needs at AOS. We feel like unless you have those things taken care of, learning's not going to take place. And like I mentioned, on-site mental health, free breakfast and lunch. We have a daily advisory. It's actually 4 out of 5 days where we work on SELs and we use restorative justice practices in our building. That is a program that we contract with, or the district contracts with, out of Eugene, out of the University of Oregon, called Project Pride. And it's about working with students and working with them to own their mistakes and make good on those mistakes and keep them in school. One of the things that I've always found interesting, and it's not in all cases, because there's certain things that students will do that pretty much tie an administrator's hands in terms of inviting them to go home. But most of the time, we keep them in school, and it's something that I think is really important, and it's something that has been really good for me, because I didn't know anything about restorative justice until I came to GAPS. We cap our class sizes at 15, and again, we're a school-wide QTEL school. Looking forward, you asked about what the one thing is. If cost wasn't a factor, it would be to expand our footprint. And when I say that, my dream, that Mega Foods building that sits there vacant, would be we lease that bad boy and we fill it up. So if any of you know who owns that, I'm ready to move. Refine the Options Academy experience and support. The data is coming back, and we will be addressing the Options Academy based on what the data tells us. And then lastly, I've already talked with the teacher that's offering Writing 121. We're going to expand what she offers in the fall. She's going to offer some English classes, and my math teacher is working on offering math college algebra class, and we're going to continue to expand in that area also. Questions?
Real quick, sorry, Brent. We did let you down on the vocational building. We talked about this last year at South Shore, and Rob Saxon and I actually looked at several buildings specifically for AOS vocational. They didn't pan out, and unfortunately can't have my Mega Foods building because we're going to put a preschool there, a mega preschool. But no, that's something that we really need to keep at the forefront. Sounds like facilities is an important thing for multiple principals, and keep at the forefront when we are making our budgets or CET money comes in. And so I appreciate that. I have one question about your lunch program. Do you offer any meals to go at the end of the school day?
We don't as a district, but Fish provides us snack packs. And on Fridays, kids walk out with a big bag, and thank you to Fish for what they do. It's an amazing program, and they bring those snack packs to us every week. And I know there are kids that absolutely count on those going home for the weekend.
Something that the district should consider when we go to bargaining in our food program is some of those meals to go as well. Thank you.
Go ahead, Brad.
Thank you. For those of you who haven't had the opportunity to go to AOS, it's an impressive facility. It was actually the first one I was allowed to go to as a newly elected board member, and I got to walk through there and truly enjoyed it. You mentioned mental health several times, and you've got a mental health advisor on staff. Do you feel that is making a difference? Are you seeing some improvements in behavior and seeing some of that stuff come back towards where we like to see it?
That's a great question, and I think anecdotally, without looking at data and actually we are going through the process of surveying students. We just completed the Healthy Teen Survey. I'm going to be interested to see what that data looks like. but anecdotally, 100%.
Good.
We are keeping Taryn very busy. I have had one student in 2 years not mesh with her, connect with her, and it was in no way the student's fault or Taryn's fault. It just wasn't a good fit. And all of the rest of the students have found her to be a really good fit at AOS, and she runs groups, she runs individual sessions, and I will do whatever it takes to keep her on our campus.
You might warn your career toast that I'm going to reach out and see if I can't be of some assistance, and see if I can't make some inquiries to people who want to stay in the local area and work after high school. See if we can't put them together with some local companies.
Can't wait. Jen Winchell.
Excellent. Oh, again?
Jen Winchell.
Thank you.
I would remind the board that some of these services that we're offering, we pay through private insurance or Medicare, and very little of it is actually absorbed through the district. So it's a great benefit.
She bills, excuse me, she bills Oregon Health Plan, and for those students that are uninsured or there's a deductible or whatever, that's billed back to the district, and we cover that through out of the general fund.
Great.
Just thank you for all you do.
Yeah, very interesting, and thank you. I need to get over there. How much heads up do you need that someone wants to come visit?
15 minutes.
I'll give more than that to Andy. But yes, I'd love to get over there and check it out.
Welcome anytime.
Yeah, just to wrap up, a few years ago, we looked into an alternative program at our school. We began to look around the Willamette Valley and just see who was doing a good job by results. At that time, the alternative school had 38% graduation rate with a higher, of course, completer rate in the fifth year. So Salem, Barbara Roberts, 11%. Some of the small 3A, I know that South Lane and Cascade had about 17%, and that number stood out. And you can see that in the last 2 years, the 2-year average is 49%. That is unheard of at an alternative school. And it's a great culture. You can just see the difference as opposed to going to some of these other alt schools and just feeling the culture. This is a great place for kids to be, and they like it. Huge challenge, which you may not have seen there. Mr. Boyd in the back, Stafford Boyd, give everybody a big wave, has been working to expand the middle school alternative site. But there is a gap here. We do not have freshmen accounted for in this as well, right? And so we do have the sophomores. They come for a semester, and then they return to the building, and a new group comes. And so I think, just schematically what that looks like, 7-12, I think we'll have to be working on that in the coming years. So, but great job, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to give a shout out to the previous principal, John Hunter, who's now at South, as you know. He was the principal at AOS before, and I'd like to take responsibility for that graduation rate jump. But he really did some great work there, and we hope to improve upon that, because at 90% completer rate, that means 1 out of every 10 kids are not completing, and when you have 140 kids, do the math. That's unacceptable. So we'll continue to work at that.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Okay. Next, we're on to consent agenda. Personnel license. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve personnel licensed as presented.
A second?
All second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next up, personnel classified. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve personnel classified as presented.
All second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next up, minutes from our regular board meeting, our last board meeting. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve minutes from the regular board meeting 12/12/22 as presented.
All second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Old business, we have none. Reports, none. Bond business reports. First up, monthly bond report. Andy, you're going to introduce.
Hamilton's here to take us through this.
Good evening. Little froggy. Wanted to just highlight the end of month report and some of the things that were listed in there for November. We had reports for a new transportation facility and South Shore Elementary School. Construction continued for both. At new transportation, we saw commissioning activities continue, as well as the move-in, which was another almost final substantial or a milestone for that project. So transportation department moved into their new home in December. So that was fantastic. And then that was all so that buses could start rolling from the new facility in January. And then at South Shore, we saw underground utilities installed and pouring of the concrete pad for the building. So big milestone for that project there as well. Don't see any issues with either projects. Any questions?
Go ahead,
I
Eric.
don't know if I can ask you or the board members, any update. There was nothing on the central building. Meetings happen? What's
Lots of activity.
Do you want to give just a brief update?
I can.
We're still waiting. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are meeting weekly, roughly, with the subcommittee, with Director Wilson and Director Nyquist. And we do have a feasibility, a very small, brief feasibility study that will be wrapping up into this week. And I would be reporting at the January 23rd board meeting. Yep.
So if I can describe it, or we did look at the Taquina model, what they're doing for heat in that building. And I suppose we'll find out on the 23rd whether or not that's feasible and practical.
Right. Yeah, we're looking at some little detailed steam-based unit ventilators in each classroom, not providing ventilation for every space. So we're looking at options to try and get the scope down into the budget that we're looking at. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. I don't know who it's for.
Okay, go ahead.
So we've moved the operation of the bus barn. What are we doing with the old bus barn?
I think the plan originally proposed is to sell it. In other words, that's a part of the balance sheet, a proposed sale.
So when will we do that?
It will go on. We'll have to go to a realtor and get that out.
Yeah.
But we will be doing that here.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Have we done a excess property study in the last year and a half?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kip.
Welcome.
Just clarification, beyond what, this is clearly excess property now. Are you thinking just beyond that and like our whole footprint?
Yeah, looking at the whole footprint and,
Okay.
Seeing if we do have properties that are not providing educational value, that may have some market value, or, we sold a cemetery once already. So there's interesting things.
Okay. Yeah, we
It's a
can
good
look at that.
transaction if you can execute it.
Yeah.
Okay, new business, board policies. Looks like you're going to talk to these, Andy.
Yeah, these policies are all required by law that are here tonight, and so they have a brief descriptor there, and of course you can look in depth on those.
So since it's new business, we're voting on them next time.
Yeah, 2 hearings. Yep.
Right. Yep. Okay.
Correct.
So I have a question of that, not to turn 7:20 into 9 o'clock here, but I've learned that the Department of Ed has administrative rules that sync up with statutes. They have board policies that may or may not sync up with statutes. And then we have board policies based on their board policies. Sometimes we have board policies based on an administrative rule or a statute. I just wonder if there's a cleaner way to do all this, because I think there are some gaps. I think you take the process of rulemaking, the legislature passes a statute, they have an intent, the agency goes to an administrative rule that in a perfect world, they're matching the legislature's intent. But when you get to board policy, there's no, or at the state or at the local level, there's no check in the process. If a member of the public doesn't agree that an administrative rule fairly reflects the legislative intent of the statute, there are opportunities to challenge that are not available by either state board policy or local board policy. And then the other question I would have is, are these policies even enforceable? They're policies. So as we continue to update policies based on policies, sometimes more than that, I'm looking for a more efficient and a clearer way to do all of this. And I suppose when I have that revelation, I'll come back. But
So I'm gathering that it's rhetorical, and you're not necessarily wanting an exact response tonight.
Sure, but I would just point that out that maybe there's a better way to do this.
And these are, of course, recommendations generally from OSBA, who does look at the ARs in order to render it into policy. But that's the process we have.
But the OSBA is legally accountable or practically accountable, not to our constituents, not to the kids in the classroom. They're a buffer between. We're just adding another layer between the legislature, the Board of Ed, and us. And so I'm glad for their service and that they're doing that, but that alone doesn't make it a cleaner process.
Okay. So on to future agenda items. None on there. Administrative regulation. That's another one. These are ones we're all doing. Looks like it's time to adjourn.
So, Mr. Chair, before we adjourn, just a clarification. Had one member of the public ask, we're going to have an executive session. You're going to gavel that in separate from this. And there is no anticipation after that executive session that we come back into regular session because you're adjourning it now. Correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So there will be no board action tonight after he taps that gavel, and the executive session is what it is. And
okay, do I hear a motion?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
what I add for this executive session, and people believe that no decisions will be made in an executive session, nor will we be deliberating towards any decision.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay, we're adjourning the board meeting for January 9th. The board will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6602I to review and evaluate the employment-related performance of the chief executive